How about that? There we go. All right, so I was testing earlier today. Everything was so perfect there for a second, lined up so perfectly. Yeah, I was testing a little earlier today, working with Discord on top of also working with all of my stream. And of course, one of those things that happens is Discord constantly hijacks your hardware, which is really obnoxious. So every time that I jump in the live on air room and every time that I then hook up the rest of my stream, Discord decides to turn off all of my different peripherals, which is kind of hilarious. So this is one of those deals where, live radio, and of course, dead air in live radio is perfection, isn't it? It's exactly what you're aiming for. So people are starting to hop in, which is great because today is a pretty chill day, and I'm debating whether or not I should make a Vim post. I do see a couple people hanging around on the all of the different streaming media. I do see some people in Discord, which is good. And we'll kind of go. We'll go with the flow and we'll figure out what we want to do today. Because, of course, my name is Crimsonclad and this is CyberBuzz. It is a sort of live radio, sort of live stream, and hopefully a whole lot of fun for all of you. And on Saturdays, I talk a little bit about blockchain. I talk about disruptive technology. I play some Synthwave. Some days are more music than others. And today I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about, if we wanted to, we could talk about some of the stuff that's going on around Hive, since of course things are busy as per usual. But I also thought we could talk a little bit more about safety, because a couple of weeks ago, we discussed something called social engineering. And if you were here for, gosh, it must be like 3 weeks ago now that we talked about social engineering. But then we also ended up, kind of going off topic last week and ending up in Transformer land and talking about a bunch of different stuff. And that became a really popular show. Curiously enough, people really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun. So I thought we might revisit this topic because there are some things kind of going on out in the crypto and blockchain landscape right now that are a great reminder for your digital safety, whether you're on chain or off. And so, I mean, obviously, a lot of the topics that I cover on this show do come back to Hive or are related back to things that are happening around the Hive blockchain. And of course, if it is some of you, if it's just some of you that I have and we don't have a super bump in chat that's full of all my Hive buds, then we don't necessarily talk about that. The show is fluid, and today I had this little feeling in the back of my mind that it was going to be a quiet one today. So what I did is I picked a bunch of really great brand new tracks to play for you guys, which is cool because obviously one of the things that I always wish that I could do more on this show would be to play more music for you. So I'm making a concerted effort to do that. And so then also today, we'll talk about some blockchain safety stuff. And then for those of you who are maybe Hive related, I do want to pick your brain, and there's some topics that we've picked up before, but that I want to come back to and I really kind of want to dig into, because I think there are some I think there are some things that are probably coming down the pipe for me and something that I'll be working on. And you guys are the smarty pants, and I want to get that from you. I want to pull it out of your heads, put it into mine, and then in theory act on it. So that's kind of how today is going to go. I'm debating whether I should do I'm debating whether I should do a Vim post or not. I may not. We'll just see. Now, it's funny that Marky is here because, of course, one of those topics that I did want to talk about was potentially, stuff involved with kind of kicking up a new hackathon. And so that's something that I want to talk a little bit about. And you wanted to ask me a Hive question too. Great. Perfect. Here's to hoping that I will have at least some form of helpful answer. But where I wanted to start, and of course, maybe this is going to be more or less useful depending on how many people are here. Even though I do see, I'm checking all of the streams now, I could see people are hopping in across all of the different streams, which is so cool. So one of the things that I wanted to discuss, and one of the things that will kind of, hey, Bardonsky, hello. And hi to all the new fans over on Theta. It's super cool to have you. So one of the things that I want to talk a little bit about is that whole Safety. We need some safety. Honest to God, we need to talk a little bit about keeping yourself safe in a digital world. Now, this topic comes up a lot and you guys are experienced. It's not a new thing. But we did talk a little bit way back when, whatever, as I said, about social engineering. And one of the things that we didn't touch on is and you have a potential topic too. Perfect. Look at this. We have all sorts of fun things to talk about. This is great. I'm excited. So let's just touch on this this sort of throwback to social engineering a bit. And there is a reason that I'm bringing this up, and because it is something that I'm seeing happen a lot inside the Hive ecosystem and out. Now, you guys know, if you've ever hung out at this show, between playing music and talking about cool VR stuff and video games and the Hive blockchain, I often talk a little bit about sort of what the cryptoscape and what being involved in blockchain and cryptocurrency kind of opens you up to. And most of the time, that's the positive side of things. I believe so strongly in the potential for this technology to really change and better our lives. But there are some negatives too. And if you remember, we talked a little bit about social engineering basically being you as a human as the weak point in terms of your own security, which is true. We know that, especially if you have strong passwords and you observe all of those tips that you've kind of come across in your time browsing the internet, you're going to be fine. Except if somebody actually tricks you into giving them this information. You can be so protected in so many ways and still make a little accidental boo-boo that ends up costing you. And that is something that quite recently, actually, I went on the Ungovernables podcast, and I talked with Matt a little bit about sort of how we've traded off some of the things that we expect from centralized companies keeping us safe for our sovereignty. And this is something that, in this space, it's going to be kind of the most important and the biggest hurdle. And we've certainly talked about it on this show as well. We expect the bank to be the one that keeps our money safe. So we just hand off to them, we pay their fees, we let them hold on to our funds, because that's okay. If something goes wrong, if they get robbed, they're responsible for getting our money back, right? So as we move towards this sovereign digital future, as you use crypto maybe to secure your wealth or as a savings vehicle or whatever the case may be, the further you move away from these centralized services, the less sort of little backups that you have from a centralized service. And Marky's saying the problem's not your passwords, it's what companies do with it. I agree with that as well, but that's not necessarily the path we're going down today. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the you aspect, because you don't necessarily have control over companies. And while not every company is bad, it is a good time to start thinking about what kind of powers do you bestow upon these companies on your behalf. But it's a topic for another day. The thing that I want to bring up for you guys, because the NFT space is rife with this as well, and one of the biggest and most difficult problems that we have in this space is that we are starting to use easy access tools. One of the best and worst things about technology is when it's hard, we try to find tools to make it easier. Awesome. And so you might have noticed there is this sort of habit now of linking things to your smartphone. And one of the easiest ways to do that is a QR code. Whether it is a QR code to quickly log into your Discord, it is a QR code to link up a new wallet or a new address with your MetaMask. This is something that a lot of people have kind of forgotten. So seed node is an API node. Yes, if you want to talk about that solo, we can. We've kind of explained this. A seed node, not an API node. A seed node is the same as a witness node. It's a block propagation node with different setup of config. An API node is set up for that communication between the blockchain and a service. So you could have a seed node and an API node on the same server. And it could even be a witness too, Marky's saying the same thing in chat. You don't want that. But the API node is the one that talks and kind of moves information back and forth between the blockchain and services. And a seed node actually propagates blocks for witnesses. Now, we've talked a little bit about this trifecta of nodes before, the RPC node, the seed node, and the witness node. They're all essentially the same thing with different types of configurations. And so before we go too far down that path, a seed node is not one that signs blocks, is the thing to remember. A seed node essentially propagates blocks for witness nodes. So a witness node, a witness node will get a block from a seed node, we'll check it over, and then we'll do the actual signing. You need all of these nodes to make the entire blockchain go. And this is a throwback. We haven't talked about this in quite a while, so maybe that's something we can come back to later today. But yeah, let me try and control my ADHD and stay on one topic at a time. So I want to finish this QR code thing quickly. Hi, yay! Crystal's streaming, but thank you for the shout out. I see Osbit Banks joined us. Hi. But let's stick with this QR code topic and we'll let the brainiacs in. So what we find in Hive keychain are API nodes. Yes, because what you're basically doing is you are looking for a node to relay that information for you. So if you're a user of Hive keychain, or you're looking for a front end and they have the ability to change your nodes, you are going through a list of these nodes that are set up to allow you to communicate back and forth. So if you look at that list, that's not a list of witness nodes, and it's not a list of seed nodes. It's a list of these RPC nodes that do that communication back and forth between the blockchain and a service. That's what you're seeing. And they're all like, it's a very confusing thing because you're essentially using the same software for all of them, but how you set it up, how you configure it, and which plugins you add are what that node ends up doing. It's nodes and nodes and nodes for days. We may have to do an entire another show on this. This is actually something that we've touched on in the past extensively, but it's been a long time. We should probably do this again. All right. The QR code. Poor patient zero is trying to keep me on track. Let's try and at least get through this particular topic. And you know what? Marky's here now. He can just be help in the chat. The big brains can take over. I'm just the lady on the air. But the reason that I bring up this QR code is because I've seen a number of people in the last couple weeks get wrecked with a QR code. So I want to talk with you guys a little bit about this because you're probably already know this and you're probably already aware of this, but it's always good to get reminders. It's always good to hear that sort of reminder of, oh, this is a really powerful tool. So we create easy access. That is something we love to do for blockchain because blockchain is hard. Blockchain is confusing and access is difficult. And so when you have something like a blockchain or a key that is long and unwieldy and very dangerous to move around, or you have a site or a service that you can log into that maybe controls your funds, you get a little lazy. And the QR code is sort of our new way of getting around this issue, because we are always connected to our phones. We're always thinking about, how easily can I just prove this is me? I don't want to type in a password. I don't want to pull out my encrypted key and put it in and, grab my YubiKey, or I don't want to confirm this on I just want to scan a code. So in this case, the reason that I bring this up is because there are a number of extensions and programs that have a quick login QR code. And I want to touch back on social engineering. And this isn't only blockchain related. So even if you're here and you're like, what the hell is this broad talking about? I don't give a shit about blockchain. I want to listen to some Synthwave music. This is still valid for you. One of the things that's happening really frequently now is if you use one of these programs that has a quick login QR code, there are people who are going around and basically posing as help. Hey, you know what? I actually know, I saw you had a problem on Twitter. Shoot me a DM because I can help you fix this. Don't even worry about it. I'm just here to help you, bud. And so this is how social engineering works. And what ends up happening is they will try and get you into a screen share. Marky, I'm in the middle of a topic, but I will double check in a second. Chat is just right off the rails. Removing passwords from all those services. Oh, that sounds really related though. This sounds like it's going to be fingerprint or face or QR code. But I just desperately want to get through this topic. So what they do is they pose as help. Now, in a lot of cases, that's fine. They can't get anything from you. You don't give them your password. You don't talk about it. It's okay, right? No. So here's the deal. Please keep in mind, please keep in mind that social engineering in a lot of cases requires you to not quite be on your game. They're going to keep you distracted. They're going to keep you kind of clicking around and looking for things. They're going to keep you not thinking about your safety. And what they'll try to do is actually lure you into a case of sharing your screen. Now, most people know I'm not going to share my screen. I'm not going to allow them control, but they don't need control. One of the most common things that's happening now is they are attempting to get you to pull up some of these programs that have QR codes. And the reality is even if they can only view your screen, they can't interact. Yeah, see, Solo's saying, I love QR codes. I use them for paper wallets, which is true. They're easy access to these wallets that you don't want to be using keys on all the time. What they want to do is get you to pull these things up on a screen share. They don't control your computer, but if they're keeping you distracted and asking you to type something and whatever, and your QR code is up on the screen, all they have to do is take a screenshot. And that's it. They have access to everything. Now, there's a reason why I bring this up, because in the NFT space recently, this has been getting people like you would not believe, because MetaMask, which is a popular extension for your browser that has to do with the Ethereum, or you can use it for BSC or any of these sort of clones of the ETH blockchain. MetaMask has a QR code sync up option. That's one. Discord has a quick login. Anyone can log into your Discord quickly. If you have that QR code up on the screen and you scan it with your phone automatically logs into your Discord account. So there are a number of programs that you may use on a daily basis that have these huge glaring sort of security holes that are really dependent on you. All it is an opportunity for social engineering. So just keep in your mind that a QR code that you use for login, that you use with your financial services, that you use with your crypto, think of it as just as precious as a password. It's just as precious. If you are one of those fabulous, beautiful people who's out here taking a selfie in front of your computer and a QR code is up in the background, if you happen to, be doing a live stream like me and it's turned slightly on the side and a QR code is visible, if you do a screen share with somebody who's trying to help you and you think you're totally safe because you haven't given them any access to your computer, just keep in mind, QR codes are passwords, and in some way, they're more dangerous than passwords because you realistically do not in any way, shape, or form get any sort of, you get no warning. If a QR code is used, it's instantaneous, it's immediate. So you guys probably know this, but it's always so good to think about, because unfortunately there are so many fabulous people out there who are, part of tight-knit communities who, hear a buddy come. If you have a buddy that comes along and says, I'm totally going to help you. No big deal. Yeah. Just show me the problem on your computer. No, I don't need to control. Don't worry about that. Just do like a screen share and I'll help you out. You can do it so easily now from almost every service, and a really good social engineer is going to trick you into revealing something on your screen and you will not even know it's happened, and it totally sucks. So all of you guys are super, super smart. And that's it. So yeah, Solo has a perfect example here. A news channel showed a paper wallet with a QR code that had 4K in it, and somebody watching immediately swept that wallet. Can you imagine doing a news story on the access to crypto or talking about, personal custody and literally accidentally flashing a QR code on the screen, and the first person watching that was smart enough to scan it, just boop, took the money. Oof. Big oof. big oof. The biggest oof. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we just don't. Marky's saying, I used to use remote access 20 times a day to fix issues for people. It's true. It's very common in today's world. Computers are hard. We don't always know how to fix something. Let's just get somebody who knows a bit more. They'll just pop in and they'll fix it for us. Now, again, remote access, most people know not to give remote access in terms of control to people, but they often think, what? How could it hurt to just share my screen? They'll just see it. They can't touch it. It can hurt. All right. So let's let us continue on. I'm going to play a quick track. I'm going to clear the air. I am debating whether I should make a post or not. I kind of like how intimate it is today, although I do see a bunch of you watching across all of the different services. So if you want to say hi from one of those, if you want to join in the chat, you can. If you're just here to listen today, that's fine. My name is Crimsonclad. This is CyberBuzz Radio, and on Saturdays, I talk a little bit about blockchain and disruptive tech. I play some Synthwave. Sometimes we talk about video games or art or virtual reality. Anything goes on today's show. So we will do that, and we'll see if we touch on any topics that you guys are interested in. I'm going to play everything on today's playlist is brand new, which is really cool. I'm stoked about that. And it's all super, super, super 80s. Make a post, make a post, make a post. Well, yeah, and here's the thing. When I make a post on Hive about my shows, I make the live post, and it is the live Vim post. Then I go back and I edit it and I put in all the pertinent information after the fact. So if you've ever seen one of my posts during a show and you're like, this is trash and I hate Crimsonclad, that's fair and you are correct. However, I will show you that if you do come back, I will do my absolute best. One sec here. My absolute best to make sure that when you do come back after a show later on, you have access to these posts, to the info. You can catch up if you missed a show, all that and the rest. So here's one from the last show that we did. So, just bear in mind, I'm slow, but I'm doing my best. My name is Crimsonclad, and I am going to play you something from Gregorio Franco, who is one of my favorite sort of nerd metal synthwave crossover artists. And one thing that I've kind of talked about on both of my shows, both of my live radio shows, is that I'm gonna get the Rashiki or the Rashiki stinky face. Is that what it was? Back to my old wrestling days. I'm being threatened and I don't feel safe. Listen, I've mentioned this before. There's this wonderful thing that happens and like attracts like, and I'm not saying I'm one of these, but I'm a giant nerd. I love metal. I love synthwave. And, I love games like D&D. And yes, I played Warhammer back in the day. And I've noticed there's a ton of Warhammer enthusiasts, both in the metal scene. We did an entire show about it. We talked about Bolt Thrower. And then, in the synthwave scene, it's the same. You have crossovers like this guy, Gregorio Franco, Hexencraft. A number of them are out there who are these sort of down home, awesome, nerdy types. Hey, Mariano, who create great music and also just, are involved in a lot of different fandoms. And so if you are interested in that kind of thing, go check out Gregorio Franco. He does cool painting streams and music production streams. He makes awesome, scary dungeon synth and evil metal sounds. And I'm going to play some of his music for you now. And then all of the rest of the music today is super 1980s dancing saxophone tracks, and it's all brand new. So I'm stoked. I hope you guys enjoy it. This track is called 𝙁𝙧𝙚𝙀. Take from that what you will. Oh, is it gonna work? It might. you go. A little bit of alley justice. All right, so hey, my name is Crimsonclad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. Hey, Grofenstupel. That's probably not your name, but it's fantastic nonetheless. Hey, man. And hi to everybody else. I saw Frankie joined us. I see some more people hanging off and, moving around and all over the place at all of the different streams. I'm happy to have you. And I do want to throw out there that I am always going to try to push you towards some of the services that are tackling the big services out there. So you can go straight to the radio station. You go to mspwaves.com. But if you're going to watch the show, Twitch and YouTube, they're great. You're used to them. But if you are watching this show, then you probably have a pretty good idea that I am all about disruptive technology and that I think it's so important to use services that give you a little bit more control over your data, over your connections, over the people, the content that you make and you consume. So remember, you can watch this on Theta TV, you can watch this on Vim TV, and you can watch this on Trovo. And all three of those are up-and-coming platforms with better rewards, better creator sort of connections, and they're better for you too. So, you know what? That's it. That's the lecture. Go where you want to go. Do what you want to do. I ain't your mom. I'm just here to entertain you. So, for the first little bit of the show, what we happened to mention was that, woo, thank you. There it is. I love it, kitty girl. Risky click of the day. She has made a fabulous QR code. That is so sassy. I love it. I kind of want to scan this code, even though, you know what? It would be amazing if you Rickrolled me. Can you imagine if I scanned this QR code and got hacked on air? Kitty girl would be elite hacksaw. Oh, Lord. What kind of host would I be? So for the first little bit of the show, we just kind of... I need to set up a tip system. I don't know how to do it, Gropitstoffel. I'm going to talk to you. I don't know how to do it, but you and me, we'll get together. We'll figure it out. Sepson will help me out too. You're much better at this than I am. So for the first little bit of the show, what I actually was discussing was kind of returning back to the idea of getting, if I keep touching my face and you guys wonder who's watching the video, it's because I have this single hair just bothering me. It's phantom things just freaking me out. We were talking a little bit about some of the sort of new age forms of social engineering. Now, the biggest and most dangerous are QR codes that automatically log you into things. Every time we build a great new service, every time we build easier access to things like blockchain technology or programs for communication or whatever, anything that has to do with personal information, QR codes are easy. Everybody has a phone in their pocket. Just boop, I'm in. Fuck yeah, I'm done. That's what we want. The problem is now that has become a vector for attack with social engineering. So just always in your head, remember that your QR codes are essentially passwords. They are. They're worse than passwords. They're just magical, bloop, magical, paths directly to all the stuff you don't want people to have. Come on in. Take what you need. So just keep it in mind, because somebody that is going to kind of engage with you in social engineering is going to try and get you to pull up this stuff and just put it on your screen, do a screen share. Remember, if it's in the background or it's on the screen of your computer and you do a screen cap or whatever. Or one other thing that I will mention that a lot of people don't think about and that I didn't touch on before we move on for the rest of the show is how many of you guys use something like a snipping tool or use something like a private cloud sharing tool? This is a hella important, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I use, a snipping tool service where I just take a little screen cap of my computer of this information that I need, and I'm going to upload it to the cloud, and I can send a link to someone else to share it. It's very much like copy and paste, but it goes through a cloud-based service. Please remember that any information that you put into these services can be seen by other people. And so one of the things that I've seen happening is like, oh, I'm gonna, these are all very dangerous, these QR codes that are popping up in chat, you sassy motherfuckers. just remember that when you screen cap something, maybe it's a little bit of personal information and you're just going to send it to somebody. It's about, your next semester at school. You're just going to snip it, pop it in an email or whatever. This is the stuff that someone who is social engineering you this is a gold mine. This is what they want. Oh, this is what sustains them. Please, 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 especially when you're using something like a cloud-based service, something like Imgur or any of these image sharing services, snipping services, link sharing services, just because it seems difficult because it's a randomized link that's deleted after a week, please, please remember, don't share things across these services that you would not want someone to get, because the potential is they could indeed get them. Right? Social engineering. So the last thing I want to talk about, and then I promise we will move on to open session. We could talk about video games. We could play some more Synthwave. We can have a whole lot of fun, is emails. People like to keep things in emails. And this is something that came up very specifically. Somebody that I was helping with. Yeah, ShareX. There's a great example. Thanks, Marky. Shares it straight to Imgur. So even though you think everything is fine and you use this little ShareX link, somewhere in the cloud out on Imgur, an image could be pulled up. And if you happen to snip a password for something that you were trying to share with your friend, and it's bad news, man. Don't do it. So here's the deal. The last thing is, some people use email like a Dropbox style. Yeah, if you're a gambling man, you use Pastebin with your passwords. Exactly. Jesus, Pastebin is so dangerous. Some people keep things like their keys in their email. They figure, okay, I have my email address and I know the password and I can access it from anywhere. So if I just leave like the keys or a password or a document with personal information on it in my email, I could just log in anytime and grab it. This is a bad idea. And I know, obviously, everybody knows that you keep personal information in your email. But if there's one thing that I can ask you not to do, it's, especially if you use the Hive blockchain, but anywhere, if you have a document with keys, whether that's from a service that helped you create a wallet, whether it's from a third party, multi-sig, partial custodial solution, whether it's from you just signed up for Splinterlands, please don't keep key documents in your email, because no matter what, someday you're going to fuck up and you're probably going to leak an email password. It's going to happen. Not to everyone and not if you're careful, but just remember in the back of your mind, if someone accesses your email, maybe the only thing they can get is, a series of deeply embarrassing emails between you and your mom. But if you keep something like your keys in there, just know that someday you could mess up and somebody would then not just have access to your email, but to your financials, to crypto, to things like that. Social engineering is really about capitalizing on tiny, totally understandable mistakes that you might make. That's all. All right, so we can move off this topic. You're probably sick of hearing me yammer on about it, and I see many of you across all of the different streaming services. CyberBuzz is all about whatever you guys want it to be about. And so today I did not build a whole show or some topics to talk about. I did really want to come back to this one because this one's really important to me, but I figured we could leave it open today and we could play a lot of music. Both of these things I would like to do for you. So if you guys have stuff, I know Solo and Kitty Girl both said they had some topics that they might like to touch on. So we could do that if you guys want. Or we could quickly play another track because I do have quite a few today. And then we can come back and we can discuss a little bit more. And actually, there is one more type of social engineering, via phishing that's happening a lot. So for many of you guys, you hang out in the Discord, please remember, if somebody sends you a Discord link, yeah, it's true. Every bit of electronic information for the entire planet is trafficked through the NSA in Utah. Zero privacy for anyone. Sorry. It's true. I mean, the reality is all you can do is protect yourself as best you can. There are obviously going to be some situations that whether you like it or not, you do not have privacy. We have gotten complacent. It's very easy to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna send this super private Gmail. The reality is your Gmail is connected to your entire Google suite. Anytime you use anything that Alphabet is even adjacently related to, that information is data mined and, analyzed from every possible angle and compared and contrasted and collated and collected, and you're put into a cohort and you are sorted based on your age and your demographic. And hi, Eileen. Hi, everybody else who's joining us. Lots of people hopping in now. Hey, we're talking a bit about social engineering, talking a little bit about online safety, kind of with a focus on blockchain, but not always. So, this is one of those things that really has sort of become prevalent, and there's not really a good way to undo it now. And so that's just, it's kind of like what we think about in terms of blockchain. Why do we use blockchain solutions? Why do we have these sort of open, transparent, immutable, protected ledgers where we really encourage you to take control of your own keys and your own information? It's completely voluntary. There's absolutely nothing that can be done on a blockchain on your behalf unless you do it, if you hold the keys. This is one way to kind of step back from all of these centralized services that you've probably kind of invited into your life and have forgotten about. It's not okay to make yourself feel like shit because you use some of these services. The reality is they drive the world. Amazon web hosting runs the entire fucking internet now. Gmail and Google and Alphabet and all of that whole don't be evil bullshit. Yeah, pretty much every service out there ties back to them. So all you can do is your best. And all I want to see on this show, and when we talk about some of the potentials for this technology, and we talk about, why protect myself from, social engineering when Google's got, my entire fucking digital life and actually probably my retinal scan as well. Well, all you can do, hey, Schmoogle, hi, everybody. Shadows Pub is here. More and more people jumping in. Blue, hi. Just because things are a certain way doesn't mean you can't explore how to make some of these aspects of your life better. That's all. Don't fall into a deep despair and ennui and misery that the world is holding you back. You're in a time where there's new technology and you're exploring it and you're doing the best you can for you and the people around you. It's good enough. I promise it's good enough. Just protect yourself while you do it. That's all. So yes, this has been kind of a wild sort of journey that we've been on today. We meant to kind of just bounce straight through this topic and move on, and it's taken up half the show, and I've barely played any music. So let's do that. I'm going to play you another track. I'm going to play you a super 80s new synthwave track. We'll come back and then we'll either continue with this or do something else. My name is Crimsonclad. This is CyberBuzz Radio, and you can listen on MSP Waves or wherever you're listening to. But hell, if you are, you may as well do it on a service that isn't Twitch or YouTube. I'll jump back in and see what you guys want to talk about after this. I'm going to play a track. It's brand new Wave Shaper. I play a lot of Wave Shaper on this show. I know that. It's fine. And before we play this music, Mr. D just leveled up in the chat. And anytime somebody levels up in chat, I take a shot. Because, of course, absolutely. Drink, I will. Yes, Schmoogle, you missed it. I was talking about the trifecta that I would like. I would like you to use Vim TV, I would like you to use Theta TV, and I would like you to use Trovo. Those three are not the big streaming services. They have better relationships with creators, they have better relationships with consumers, and they are crypto-based or more equitably based for those relationships and creating those connections. So, let's do this. Let's just do it. Cheers, Mr. D. So, I do play a lot of Wave Shaper on this show. I'm fine with it. Wave Shaper, a fantastic synthwave artist that has a huge discography and a lot of fun stuff. And just put out a new album called Mainframe. There are a bunch of great There are a bunch of great tracks on this new album. It's worth a listen, and there's more Wave Shaper coming in October. So I'm going to play a track that's just a shout out to all of you guys coming and hanging out with me every weekend. I see Alpha-Chino's in there. I got a new friend in Grappenstoppel. Grappenstoppel. You know, your name is probably just like Grofenstoppel. Grafenstoppel, whatever. But here, I'm turning it into a whole thing. Gonna say it with enthusiasm! Let me play this track, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what you guys want to talk about. Wave Shaper, the track is called Friends Again. the 80s called and they want their music back. Forget it. We're here. We're in the 80s, but we're in the now. Time is a flat circle. I have no real concept of time, and I'm assuming most of you don't either. But for those of you who are watching live, it is Saturday at some point in the day for you. Maybe it's early morning. Maybe it's late evening. If you're in Australia, who knows what time it is for you, but the reality is whatever time it is for you right now, I'm on air and I do this weird live stream, live radio show. And I call it CyberBuzz. And we talk a little bit about blockchain. We talk about disruptive technology. Some days we talk about video games or VR. You know, if you were here for the last particular show that we did, we spent a whole bunch of time talking about training and sort of unexplored use cases for augmented reality and virtual reality. And we're talking about all of the skills that aren't just like simulators, but actual sort of expansions and overlays to our reality, and skills that you could pick up with something as simple as, a tablature that's laid right on top of the keys of a piano. And if you want to discover a little bit more about that, then I actually did a whole show right up about it, so you can explore some of the stuff that we talked about. So today, we actually spent the whole first half of the show. We a tiny bit talked a little bit about some node stuff to do with the Hive blockchain, but overall, we basically discussed some of the aspects of social engineering that we don't always think about, because social engineering, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we discussed as well. And we talked about sort of what is social engineering and why is it and how is it that people are able to keep you distracted and confuse you? And, what does that mean and how do you keep an eye out for it? Today, I've been talking a little bit about QR codes specifically and email access specifically, because these are things that right now, man, they're spreading through the space because it's so easy. And we've learned just enough to keep ourselves safe or work in a way that we think is safe that still has some little gaps in our knowledge. And so just throwing it out there, you guys are smart. You don't need me, but it's always good to have the reminder. And so just kind of wrapping that all up, I'm gonna call you Grofen. Grope? I'm gonna call you Grope. Is that rude if I call you Grope? I'm gonna call you Grope. New Buddy Grope was saying, the tech that we're talking about is under control of all of the same central players, and we're at a point in time where everyone or, your entire life can be wiped out by a keystroke, and it's scary. And you know what? You're absolutely right. We have built this incredible, tenuous... You don't get a role because you don't show up to enough shows, Qua. We have built this tenuous tower that is just waiting to topple. We have created these incredible conglomerates that control pretty much everything in tech. They have all the money, they have all the resources, they have all of the experience and knowledge, and they've created one service that you rely on. And so each new service that they put out there, you're like, yeah, okay, I'll just connect this to that, and I know how to use this, and my digital assistant just connects that up. Cool. And you know what? It's a scary, uncomfortable fact to think about. But the reality is, again, I just want to throw it out there. You have to be aware of these things. You cannot live your life in fear of these things. A healthy respect and skepticism and desire to move away from them is what you have to have. And so, in a lot of cases, this is why I always come back to crypto and blockchain in general. And when we say things like, Groff, Groff it is. I like it. That makes so much more sense, phonetically even. I'm just the DJ. I read good. It's tradition. So I see lots of you guys are hopping in on all the different streams, and it's so cool to have you here. Hey, Creo! And the more people that come, I'm always so glad to chat with you guys. But just remember, part of the delightful aspect of these live shows is I will butcher your fucking name. If you're a new person, I'm gonna wreck you. And it's gonna be awkward. And we're gonna laugh about it. And the only one who's gonna look like an idiot is me. So don't worry about it. Good old Buddy Grope. Oh, goodness. All right. So, chat is full of nonsense right now, and so am I, and that's CyberBuzz. So the last kind of thing I want to say is, whether you like it or not, this is one of the reasons that we kind of always say Bitcoin is freedom money, and, Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain tech in general. While right now, yeah, the likelihood is you're going to spin up a server, you're going to create your own node, or you're going to learn how to take self-custody, but you're going to be using something like a ledger. Well, there's fucking Google again. Or, you're going to be interacting with some of this technology still using these big tech entities that you want to escape. And again, that's okay. This is a journey. And all of these steps that we make towards the future and all of these steps that we make towards our own sort of self-sovereignty, whether that's economic or technological or just mindfulness in the world, it's a journey. And you're always going to be moving towards breaking whatever chains it is that weigh on you. Maybe you really don't care. Maybe you are totally fine with Google containing your whole life and the multitudes of your social experiences, but my savings, absolutely not. Maybe you don't give a shit. Believe it or not, there are some people who don't care about the monetary aspect of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. They just don't care. Fine, whatever. I will keep my money in the bank. Let the centralized banks eat away at it with fees. They'll protect me. I'm sure I'm fine. But you get hoppin' fucking mad when you're censored on Facebook, and that's what matters to you. You're going to find these technologies that mesh up with your personal needs. And it turns out that blockchain actually overlaps a lot of them. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I've started this journey. And that's why all of us tend to run into each other as we float around the internet together. So with that being said, one whole half of the show has already gone. I don't know how it happened, but it did. So I'm opening it up because Solo had mentioned that his topic was talking about running an RPC node, but he and Marky were talking in the background, and it kind of seems like that might be okay. So I know Kitty Girl said she had a potential topic today, and if there's something that you guys want to talk about, whether it's related to the Hive blockchain or beyond, we can do it. Can you share the meme I made? Why are you even asking permission? Go forth and meme, my son. That's what the internet is for. The internet was for memes and cats, and I guess porn now too. Whatever. Those things, it's probably like all of the things, you can slot them into one of these particular categories if you try hard enough. Yeah, YouTube. And I will say, just for those of you who do love to catch all of my shows on YouTube, YouTube has been pretty upset with me lately. They have been taking down a number of my shows. Almost every single show that I produce cannot be monetized. They constantly boot subscribers, or subscribers hate me. I mean, 50-50, you never know. But overall, this is one of those reasons that I gravitate towards media that allow me to just connect directly with you guys, because it's fun. You're my friends, you are my community, and it turns out every now and again we have a really good show with some great music. All right, so this is a hell of a question, because it's not a perfect answer question. Kitty Girl has a Hive-related question about onboarding. And so one of the things, hey, Gabriel, are you a bot or are you a real person? You tell me. I need to know. Bot lives matter too, but I need to know. So Kitty Girl's asking about the Hive blockchain specifically, which of course is a social ecosystem built on the blockchain. And the reality is that Gabriel's a real person, and everybody else is booing YouTube, booing them excessively. Boo! Boo this man or this service. Let's do the onboarding thing quickly, and then I'll touch on all of the other comments that are just flying up the screen right now. So Hive on board ran out of account creation tokens. 𝙂was able to, but the reality is, how do we keep up with onboarding, and what can we actually do about it? And, this is going to be an unpopular question because, of course, account creation tokens are awesome. They are something that essentially incentivizes a big account, a dApp, a service, to buy Hive, to stake Hive, to hold Hive, to give themselves the ability to generate more account creation tokens. Fantastic. It's a sink. That's a sink. That's what that is. And every time one of these new accounts is created, there's 3 Hive that's burned in relation to that new account. It's a win all around. So even though this account is free to the person who's getting the account, to the system, it's not free. And that is a huge bonus. But the problem is right now, nobody really prepped for this. And so there's a couple of ways that we could kind of attack this. But one of the things is we basically said, hey, free accounts are the best. Everybody wants to come to the blockchain. They should be free. It's great. So go do that. But very few of the dApp accounts actually said, all right, I'm going to buy and stake enough Hive to meet my projected need for these free account tokens. And so what we have now is services that have come about, and something like Hive on Board it's a tricky one because that was created through a hackathon. It was created by somebody who was like, hey, this would be really great. Let's make a great service. Well, the Hive on Board team isn't going to buy that Hive. They're not a service in that they need these accounts for the livelihood of their own business. So we're now at an impasse as other people have stepped up to provide Hive on Board via script account creation tokens. But yes, individual dApps have to actually start saying, hey, this is my plan for growth. This is what I know is going to happen. Here's my projection. Here is the money that I am going to back that with, knowing that this is essential to my business. That's one aspect of it, is each of these front ends, each of these businesses, each of these companies has to actually shit or get off the fucking pot. Now, Splinterlands is doing it. Splinterlands is actually doing it. But for the rest of these sort of front ends, there is this sort of tricky growing pains, which is, oh my God, I have to deal with this now. I can't just borrow some account creation tokens. I need to get some. And that has always been that moment in time where we're poised with a foot outstretched, which you can't see, but poised, to take that step and actually back it up with money. And a lot of these are small companies, small groups of people, small dApps, but it has to happen. Now, that's one prong of it. The other prong is resource costs right now are increasing because so many people are coming to the blockchain. Awesome. But those free tokens cost a little bit more in terms of resource credits. And for those of you who are just watching for, the Synthwave and the fun chat, this might be a little esoteric for you, and I promise we'll come back around. But these resource credits, these costs that are built in at the blockchain level, they're very smart. They're very scalable. But one of the things that has to be sort of addressed and is being talked about already is how do we make that account claim creation cost a little bit more logical? What are some of the changes to the calculations that we have to do to make claiming accounts a little more smart? And so, Blue Robo, one of the reasons, and this is a really hot topic, is transferable account token creation. One of the reasons that this hasn't happened yet is because nobody wants a secondary marketplace around account creation tokens. So here's the deal. They have a set cost. The blockchain calculates it based on resource credits. This is what it costs right now. This is what the network's doing. Put up or shut up. Use your stake or don't. If they became transferable, what would start happening is a secondary market would arise. Now, this could be good and this could be bad. If you're in blockchain, if you're in disruptive tech, what do you love? You love a free market. Who doesn't love a free market? And the market tends to price things exactly as they should be priced. The reality is if you had transferable account creation tokens, everybody would claim them. They would wait till they were in high demand and they would sell them for more than that account creation token is worth. So there's two takes on this, and I don't know. I'll get some of your guys' opinions before we move on. Is it better to have supply and demand and to have dApps have to pay more and to have more people kind of engaging with this system that is meant to be easy to access and logical? Should we let the free market take that over and potentially have price gouging on new account creation and have that be the bottleneck? Or should we definitely not allow that and then potentially have some high stakeholders who are just, not claiming any account creations because there's nothing in it for them and not providing those to dApps? Tricky. Yeah, this is the only reason that right now we don't necessarily have transferable account creation tokens. And we've seen in this ecosystem and in many other ecosystems, if you can stockpile something that somebody else needs, what are you going to do? You're going to sell it at a profit. Of course you fucking are. Of course you are. And in this case, resource credits are free to you. If you're a stakeholder, you're claiming these free account creation tokens. They're yours. They didn't really cost you much but your time. And then you're going to sell them to someone else for a profit. And that starts really shaping the way the resource credit system works. Tough. It's worth a chat. But in this case, is it harmful or is it not? I don't know. So the reality is Kitty Girl's asking, and the big one is, dApps are going to have to step up front and actually put some Hive away. Hi, Azaria. Hi, everybody else that's joining us. Hi. And I like that Uncle Bonehead is now, Crim can't butcher this name. I can and I will. So, all right. Let's have another shot because there was a level up. Let's play another track and we'll come back. We could talk a little bit more about the free market or whatever you guys want. My name is Crimsonclad, and on Saturdays, this is CyberBuzz Radio. You know what? This show is a little bit of everything. The last show that we did, we literally talked about Transformers for like an hour. And we'll come back around to it. But let me take this shot. Let me play you guys some more music, and then we'll kind of go on from there. Because I love playing you guys Synthwave, and I'm trying to keep an eye on the time. We do still have about an hour left in the show. So I've got Beetlejuice Green Dead. What a cool name. Hey, dude. All right, and then we could talk a little bit more about whatever you guys want to talk about. We started the show talking a little bit about social engineering and protecting yourself in a world where your QR code is like, boop, I stole all your shit. So we talked a little bit about that, and we've now moved on. What was that squeaky sound? For those of you who are not watching the video stream, and you don't have to, it's live radio. That was me opening the bourbon bottle. I'm going to take a swig, I'm going to play some music, and we'll come back after that, and we will move on, and we'll talk a little bit more about whatever you guys want to talk about. God, this is bad bourbon. I don't recommend it. I'm just trying to get through this bottle, and I'm only halfway through. You guys have been watching me for months just power through this, and it's just not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable. It's not early for whiskey. It's 1 p.m. where I am. It's after lunch. I'm safe. I am not an alcoholic. I'm a lush, and there's a difference. I'm going to play you a track called Hypnotize. Now, these are a number of artists that I play all the time. Yes, absolutely, Blue Robo. You want to talk about doggo picks? Abso-fucking-lutely. I can fulfill when we come back. I will absolutely, I will address that topic. So I'm going to play two artists that I play for you very frequently, but I will play a remix. So essentially, FM Attack, an artist I really like, and I've played for you a lot of times on this show, remixed by Betamax, another artist that I really like and have played for you a lot on this show. This was just released yesterday. We'll play some music. We'll do the thing. I'm going to play you a track called Hypnotize. It is the Betamax remix. Here you go. My name is Crimsonclad, and you have some questions for me? Oh no, things are going to go sideways really quickly, I could tell. This is CyberBuzz Radio. Oh no.
Hypnotize me. Hypnotize. 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 Hypnotize me.
I'm hypnotizing you to hang out with me today. Hey, my name is Crimsonclad, and I gotta give a bunch of shout outs because we have so many new people that are joining the fam here. So, Gabriel Moda and 𝙁𝙧𝙘𝙀 Green Dead. What a name. 𝙁𝙧𝙘𝙀. If I say it 3 times, will you jump out of my screen? I don't know. This is terrifying. You guys have followed. I saw Stoner Scientist, and some more people have followed over on Theta. Hey, I'm checking out all of the streams. I'm seeing all of your beautiful faces. My name is Crimsonclad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio. So on Saturdays, we talk about blockchain. We talk about disruptive tech. Sometimes we talk about the video games, VR, AR, anything to do with sort of this retro aspect. And I play fun synthwave music for you guys. And I do this every Saturday because I'm an idiot. But you guys have sort of reformed my faith in myself. And today, we spent the first half of the show talking about digital safety, talking about social engineering, talking about the danger of QR codes, and, basically that sort of thing. And then we also touched on the topic of onboarding on the Hive blockchain. So with that being said, I try to make sure that we keep things not too esoteric, but I also want to make sure that for those of you who are coming in and just discovering the show or just meeting all of the cool community here, like look at all these fabulous little friendos who are, I can't remember where they're flying around on the overlay, but it doesn't matter. I think they're down at the bottom on this screen. Look at all these fabulous people hanging out. If you want to be one of those, that's cool. You could join us in the Discord too. But I digress. So let's talk about what this show is really quickly, because so many of you kind of are like, well, you talk about everything. It's fucking useless. Yes. One of the sort of aspects of the show is that it is very 80s leaning. And we've talked about this before, so I promise we won't stay on this topic too long. But one of the best things about cyberpunk and synthwave and retrowave and outrun and this 80s aesthetic is, in the 80s, when I was but a baby, in the 80s, things were so tech forward. We were so gung-ho on technology. The summer of love was over. The hippy-dippy back to the earth was over. We don't want that. We want neon colors. We want crazy lights. We want new technology. We want the coolest headphones and the biggest fucking phone and all of the technology. Give it to me. And in the 80s, everything felt new and forward thinking, and we were so obsessed with what future technology was going to look like. And now, looking back at that time, it's so retro, it's so dated, it has such a specific aesthetic. It's plastic, it's manufactured, it's retro. And it's this weird collision of our desire for this incredible technological future, for our, desire to look back at better, simpler times. It is this combination of all the things we love about the retro aspect of our lives, all the things we love about the sci-fi technology aspect of our lives. And it's just this weird, cool time that evolved into, flickering neon over the dirty pavement, Neo-Tokyo Blade Runner-esque, electric palm trees in a digital 8-bit Lamborghini. It's a cool thing. And it's one of my favorite sort of aspects of our relationship with technology and music, and that's why I do this show. So, we've talked about a bunch of stuff, and I thought we'd just quickly throw that down there since we got some new people. And I've been seeing lots of different things in the chat that you guys want to talk about, and that's A-okay. We got about 40 minutes left, so we'll do what we can. Now, I am laughing because 𝙁𝙧𝙬𝙗 came in with this fucking ringer. What would you do if the girl came out of the TV and you freaked out and in 1 second and she haunts the house? Basically he's saying, what would happen if the ring happened to you in real life? And your choices are A, run for your life, B, go to a different house. Those are the same thing. I'm sorry. They're the same thing. But no, I've been really open about this. And this is something that we've talked about, maybe not on this show, but something that comes up. Hey, I actually gave you a shout out. Hey, Ungovernable. I was talking about your Crypto 101 episode that I did with you. That was really cool. So thanks for coming to hang out. But so I will say, let's just throw this out there. If I bought a house that was haunted, I'm selling the house. There is no way I'm staying in a haunted house. I know some people are like, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't know that I do, but I believe in energy. And I believe in, if you live in a house and the house is full of shit that you don't like and it's scary, leave the house, sell the house. Let somebody else deal with that shit. Am I telling anybody it's haunted? No, I'm getting the fuck out of the house. Absolutely not. Just burn it down. Creo, exactly. Nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. And I have experienced what I believe was a haunting before. I'm not super empathic or whatever. I don't have the gift. I don't have Strega blood back in my bloodlines. This has nothing to do with technology, but this question was thrown out. I'm addressing it. Absolutely not. Yeah, burn it. Burn it all. Absolutely. I'm leaving the house. Fuck that shit. Nope. Absolutely not. So, I hope that addresses your question. Fuck that shit. Okay. All right. And you know what? I'm a spooky girl. I love spooky season. I'm a little scary. I'm fine with that. That's me. I'm scary. Ghost wants to be fucking with my shit? Absolutely not. Mm-mm. My house. I bought it. Did you buy it, Ghost? You paying my mortgage, Ghost? Get the fuck out. Mm-mm. Okay. All right. You guys were asking about a dog update. Since we really, Chat is fully a disaster now. Everything's a disaster. We've gone from the opposite end of technology right back to ghosts, because of course we have. This is what chat happens. This always fucking happens. And Matt's saying there was a Freakonomics Radio episode on home invasion. If you and a loved one are held hostage and you have the chance to run, you run. Yeah, this is a little different than Ghosts, but I will say, absolutely. And this is kind of like one of those things that we all watch or listen to, like true crime podcasts now. Never let them take you to a second location. You are much harder to hit as a running, moving target. Get the fuck away. All right. So what the hell? What just happened? Let's do a doggo update. So I will say, many of you guys know and many of you don't know. We'll do a very quick recap. So ever since I moved 80s cyber horrorcore, we could actually, that's more Gregorio Franco where we started at the early part of the night. Hollywood Burns is a good one. Hexencraft is an excellent example, but I digress. The doggo update is this. So I have, ever since I basically got moved out, I have worked with animal rescue. It's very important to me. Clay is asking, what if this ghost shows up in your house in the middle of the night? Well, that's Tobias Forge dressed up, and I would be so fucking stoked. I would invite him in and make him a cup of tea and sit him down at the piano so he could serenade me. The doggo update is, so I've always worked in animal rescue, and I've volunteered with a number of animal rescues, but over the last couple, sort of half a decade, I've worked specifically with adopting dogs. And so I've had a number of different, dogs in my lifetime. And I just recently adopted a dog from Iran, from the city of Tehran. And that was maybe not purposeful. I saw her picture before I knew where she was from, and I put in an application, and then I found out, and then I was like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? And it's been amazing, but it is a totally different set of of hang-ups that this dog has that I'm not familiar with. She comes from the Middle East. She comes from an arid climate. And so yesterday I was so bored out of my mind while dealing with one of her sort of random hang-ups, which are fair and understandable, that I ended up live tweeting my dog walk. So I'll share that with you because that's the perfect update. So the long and the short of it is, I live in Vancouver, BC. I live on the westiest of west coasts. I live on the west coast, best coast. Lulu came from Tehran. Now, Tehran is sort of a mountain-bound inner city in Iran. It is arid. It's an arid climate. Tehran, as a city, has between 100 millimeters and 250 millimeters of precipitation the entire year. Okay? I live in Vancouver on the wet coast. I live in one of the rainiest climates in the world. It's beautiful, it's mild here, but goddamn, we know how to rain. Vancouver gets 2,500 millimeters of precipitation a year. At the very max, on the wettest, most miserable times in Lulu's life to this date, 250 millimeters. Completely fucking normal for Vancouver, 2,500 millimeters. So we've gone through a heat wave, and the summer has been exceptional. Hot, sunny, beautiful. This new dog got here. She's so stoked. The grass, she's never really seen lots of grass. The grass is green. The trees are huge. We go hiking in the forest. It's the best thing that's ever happened to her. She loves it. Yesterday, we get our first Vancouver rainstorm. And I'm telling you, this poor dog, we get out in front of the house and you can see the noise of this torrential downpour is deafening. And she thinks I'm doing this. She thinks I'm fucking with her. And so it took us probably 20 minutes to leave the house. It took us probably another almost 40 minutes just to make it the one and a half blocks from my house. You guys know, sometimes I turn the camera around. Out this window, you can see the forest. It's right there. It took us almost half an hour to get to the forest. And then we got to the forest and we saw a squirrel, and she dragged me on my face through the mud with the power of the insane. And then we went home again, and she forgot to poop. And the whole thing took 3 hours. So I look forward to working with her through more of these particular unique situations that she will never have experienced before. And Yeah. We are learning every day. Every day is something new. But she's doing very good. She and my other dog get along splendidly, and she is learning every day how to be a real dog. So that's the doggo update for those of you who come to my live streams or come to my radio shows and have heard me mention my dogs before. She is becoming more of a real dog every day, and part of that is because my other dog, Murphy, is teaching her. They're a great little pair, and they're probably getting into all sorts of trouble right now while I'm live on air. So things are still scary. In the evenings, she is very uncomfortable. Every instinct in her body, everything that she's ever experienced in the 4 or 5 years that she's been alive, is at nighttime is when she operated. So she would get up, she would roam the streets looking for food, she would find shelter. It's very cold in the winter in the desert. It's very hot in the summer in the desert. And at night, she feels like she should be doing something. She feels like she should be scrounging for food or, out defending territory or whatever. She's constantly afraid that someone is going to attack her and kill her. So evenings are tough when everybody settles in and we're just chilling on the couch in the evening. She is very high anxiety. So it's just working on helping her realize that, it's fine. This is your couch. That's your bed. I'm eating chips. You can also have a chip. You live here. It's good, fam. It's good. But you can't necessarily express that to a dog in a way that they understand right away. Everything is love and unspoken communication, and it's probably going to take me a long time of just positive touches and positive interactions and positive emotions radiating from me being in the same space. And one day it's going to click, and then she'll get it, and it'll be like she never, she was always with me. One thing that is really cute before we move on, because everybody's probably fucking bored of dog talk, we'll play more music, we'll talk about more tech. I'll answer or ask more questions as you guys see fit. One thing that is really cute is she is still scared of me sometimes. And some things that I do or noises that I make, she still finds scary. But she also really wants to love me. And one thing that she does is she will go out of her way to find things that smell like me, and she will spend time with them as a replacement for me. She doesn't want to spend time with me as a person because I'm terrifying, as everybody in chat can attest to. But she does want to be around me and my scent, and she wants to let me know that she's trying. So she has this habit of going and getting my shoes while I'm away, and she will hang out with my shoes. So I came home from work yesterday, and I found both of my shoes in both of the beds in my upstairs bedroom, which was very cute. I've dropped a picture in chat. Okay, so there we go. That's the dog update. She'll spend time. She's actually probably in my bedroom right next door right now, snuggling with one of my shoes, if I had to guess where she is. All right. So, hey, thanks. Thank you for hanging out today. It's been fun. We've been talking a little bit about everything. It's kind of been a messy topic sort of day. And I do have more music for you. I have brand new Synthwave that I want to play for you. Since Clay is here, we will end the show with some Midnight, because of course we will. I will continue to keep you updated on the dogs. And of course on this show and everything else. But yeah, it's good. It's good. She's trying so hard. And that's all that matters, right? And it's the same thing that we were talking about with social engineering, with your technology. Listen, it's a journey. You are always going to be aware that there is some shadowy cabal out there that controls your every bit of technology, whether it is Amazon or Google or one of the giant conglomerates, even Netflix, every piece of technology. You think Discord's safe? You think that's air you're breathing? We talk about this all the time, and it's scary, and it's dystopian, and it's uncomfortable, and everything's a journey. You are divesting yourself as best you can some of these unhealthy connections to the matrix. And you'll do that as you are able to, and you'll do it in a way that fits your life and that matches up with your morals. That's all. So, everything's a journey here on CyberBuzz Radio. My name is Crimsonclad, and we've been talking about a little bit of everything today. So I will, when the show is over, remember, I will go back, I will edit a post, I'll create a giant show notes, I'll share all the music that we've listened to together today, I'll share all the topics, and maybe I'll skip the part about the ring. So I'm gonna play one more new track. It's by an artist called 𝙁𝙯𝙗, which is a fucking fantastic name. Just put out an album called Ions. I'm gonna play you a new track from that album, and when we come back, we will have half an hour to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, whether it's the Hive blockchain or complete fucking nonsense. I do have one or two more things that I want to pick your guys' brains about. I'm not saying I do these radio shows to gain access to the Hive mind, but you're all really fucking smart, and I like talking to you because I can learn from you on the fly. And in theory, hopefully I can teach you some stuff too. So we'll do the music, we'll do the thing, half an hour, we'll make it count. Sound good? Okay, so it's new music by 𝙁𝙯𝙗. The track is called Between the Lights. My name is Crimsonclad, CyberBuzz Radio. You're probably listening to it on MSP Waves. Weird why songs do that at the start. There you go. Mega Meadly's extra solos. My name is Crimsonclad. That was 𝙁𝙯𝙗. Brand new album. It's really good. It's got some really upbeat, positive That's my very technical synth solo there. But it's also got some darkness to it. Highly recommended. Cool cover art, cool artists. You know, a lot of these synthwave artists actually have, you know, sort of smaller followings in the scheme of things. Bigger followings, obviously, than me and many other people. But at the same time, it's so funny because these artists make crazy good music and then they've got like, you know, X amount of followers on Twitter. And it's like, God damn. Or, you know, only a few listens on Spotify. And it's just like, everyone should hear this. Let's all just go back to the 80s and play some kickin' rad music. So I'll share that in chat. You can check that out as well. We have had a doozy of a show today. We started off talking about social engineering and talking specifically about QR codes and instant access, the ways that we engage with technology that is new and hard and a little bit scary. The reality is things like blockchain or certain services, key safety is hard. Passwords are the worst. Like, I'm just gonna log in with my QR code. Hey, Angelica! And, you know, I just like, fuck, it's hard. I just want to scan my QR code. The problem with that ease of access, with that Internet of Things, with those solutions that we create to make things a little bit easier is they can always be a bit of a vector for attack. Yes, that song was fire. I agree. And yes, indeed, I will get you a link. Let me do that right now. So let me just see here. Turbo/music, raw power with 80s atmosphere. Here you go, my man. You find his whole discography there. Look at that, 184 followers on Twitter. The hell? Show some love. Okay, so we talked a little bit about that. We talked a little bit about social engineering, which is redunculous. And then we talked a little bit about Hive blockchain onboarding. And then we talked about my dog and being haunted by spirits and somehow so forth, so on, etc. We got back to here. Now, we have some time. We have a little bit of time left in the show. Probably by the time you get down to it, about 20 minutes left. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I can share some stuff with you because I did put some things aside. And there was one question that I did want to ask. And so I'm powering through all of these topics and trying to kind of guide us in the direction that we want to go. And actually, there's one other thing that I wanted to kind of address because many of us are involved in the disruptive tech space or the crypto space. And you guys might remember when sort of the Bitcoin 𝙈𝙧𝙘 announcement was made. If you were here on the show with me, I got a little teary-eyed because that to me was one of the most sort of powerful advancements that has happened in a long time. The idea of an entire country full of people who have generations of unbanked, underemployed, economically restricted people who have just said, you know what? No, I fucking opt out. I opt out of your bullshit. And I opt into the first time in my life that I've had a free savings account or the ability to transact with somebody who I want to transact with, and no one can stop me. And the idea that that country is embracing it and their government is embracing it and saying, hey, listen, we have a ton of fucking problems that we can't fix. But at the end of the day, one thing we can do is embrace freedom, and we can embrace the people that are sort of at the forefront of this type of self-sovereignty, at this development of technology, invite them here and try and solve some of these problems together and make life better for people in our country. That's incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. And, when people ask, like, why does cryptocurrency or why does Bitcoin or why does any of the other, blockchains that you use, Hive, why do these matter so much to you? I'm thinking a lot about many of the people that I've met through Hive who live in Venezuela right now. And so a lot of people don't know what's happening in Venezuela, and it's kind of insane. They have had a 4-day blackout. No one can get money out of the banks. The entire country, the ability to use the central banking system, and for most people, the ability to access anything they own in terms of a financial asset is gone for 4 days. Stop and think about that for a second. Think to yourself what it would be like if you couldn't use your debit card. for 4 days. You couldn't use the app on your phone. I threw my phone as a point earlier, so I don't have it as a, a prop now. You couldn't just log in to your online bank account. You couldn't go down to the store and just tap for your groceries. You couldn't just, hop on to your Venmo that's connected to your account and send something to a friend. Like, think about that for a second, and then expand that to a country where their inflation is insane. Their government is out of control and life is already incredibly difficult. Now imagine if you were teetering on the edge of existence and someone just said, "Oh, your money? Nah, fam. Sorry." What do you do in a case like that? And these are the reasons that I am so incredibly passionate about these technologies that allow you, and only you, to transact value, which I talk a lot about on this show. Transact value between you and whomever you choose, and no one else has any say in that. Value, in this case, is fucking money. But value, in the case of a creator or an artist or a musician or somebody who spends all their time on the internet, we've literally discussed this on the show. What does value mean? It's very subjective. What's valuable to you is a personal thing. And the motivation that you get from that is very different depending on your goals. Maybe you are somebody who is super focused on spending all your time on social media and building up a group of friends. And for, whatever case may be, money or whatever else, if that's taken away from you, it's very, very frustrating. Now, Blue is saying if you can't use Venmo, you can't use crypto, but that's actually not true, because depending on, and right now Bitcoin is leading the charge on that. It doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever, but people have set up Lightning Network connections apart from the legacy financial system. And yes, they do use some of these infrastructure systems that use these big companies. But the reality is we've sent Bitcoin over a fucking ham radio. We've sent it with a potato through a satellite in space. We've sent it. There are entire groups of people who are doing nothing but setting up connections for Bitcoin networks that do not rely on traditional infrastructure. And it's happening every single day. So yeah, again, Bitcoin may not be the be all end all, but this is where these things start, and then those ideas spread. That's the reality. So when we say, oh, well, if you can't use Venmo, you can't use crypto, that's not true. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin will save the world, but I think the attitudes around Bitcoin will. So for me, it's kind of insane. And I think this is why, if you've never really thought about this, and I don't care if you think Bitcoin's the best, Hive is the best, ETH is the best, crypto's a Ponzi, fiat's a Ponzi. I don't care. I just want you to think about these aspects of your life and then, explore them. But yeah, so revised sociology is saying this is happening in Afghanistan too. Everybody is saying, well, hey, oh God, don't use crypto because the fucking Taliban, they're going to use crypto. But the reality is the Taliban has taken control of all infrastructure in that area, and people are still managing to at least have some access to trade. Legitimate people not involved with the Taliban are actually still able to survive a little bit to do with, crypto. So the reality is you've got to kind of find the places that this disruptive technology matches up with what you want to do. But I mean, yeah, here. Quite a challenging follow. Okay, yeah, I haven't clicked on this tweet, and it's something that I'll look forward to in the future. I'm certainly not going to get into the debate about real Taliban, fake Taliban, pro-Taliban, anti-Taliban. I mean, the reality is the people in the Middle East and Afghanistan are going through a lot of fucking shit right now. And for a lot of people, that is... their lives are just being torn apart. And it's traveling through the world now. So, crypto is part of that. And so, yeah, Blue is saying, yeah, you need electricity and an internet connection. Yes and no. There are people who have made Bitcoin transactions, like I said, via different types of satellite, through things that are more like like a ham network, things that aren't traditional internet. And there is an entire group of people who are deploying sort of an alternet, I guess if you want to consider it, that isn't the internet, that does not use traditional internet structure, but is more like a mesh network. So yes and no, I agree with you again, but at the same time, you're thinking too small. This is that whole, well, if I don't have it, I guess we're all just going to die. Yeah, I guess so. But the reality is, well, there are options that are up and coming, and maybe not everybody's using them yet, but people are exploring them, and that's meaningful. And a lot of these countries especially have energy that is waste energy, or that have energy that is uncaptured. And that becomes a vector for how do we harness this cheap or waste or unused energy, and how do we use it to power alternate infrastructure that has nothing to do with our current economic or governance or, technological systems. So it is what it is. And you know what? Many, many, many smarter people than me have tackled this. I'm just that crazy lady who makes the beep boop computer music in your ears and a lot of loud, angry music on Thursday nights. So it's a philosophical discussion, but the reality is for everybody who says, well, it's not really possible, it probably won't be for you. But for the dreamers and the people who are willing to take big steps and big falls, because on the way towards this, people are failing. People are absolutely failing. Some of these experiments are disasters and they have to happen. But there's a possibility. And the, kind of exploring and dissecting the possibilities is more important than just saying, well, it doesn't seem possible, so I'm going to go back to my couch and wait till the government turns my money on again. I don't know. Okay, so that was fucking depressing as shit. What does Groff say? Yeah, it's true. Keystrokes could take down the whole Western civilization. It's true. And we don't think about it. But again, part of the reason that I do this show is not to bring you down. It's not to scare you. It's not to remind you that a Blade Runner future or a Waterworld future or a Mad Max future is the destined future. Even a Ready Player One future. We talk about this so often on this show, that idea of a retro dystopian, aesthetic that we're so enamored with. We love this idea of the Matrix or Johnny Mnemonic or, these insane Neo-Tokyo Akira-style cities where humanity has fucked up beyond all reason and now it's a struggle. That's not what this show is about. I am, in general, incredibly positive about a lot of the things that are happening in the world, and I can't fix everything. And often people ask me what my outlook is, and whether it's COVID or whether it's technology or whether it's being an artist or whether it's just being a good friend or a family member or somebody who is just trying to create a homestead, whatever it is that you're all about. I believe incredibly strongly in the network effect, and let's say that's part of why I do this show. I believe that I can and will influence my sphere, my tribe, the people around me. And the better that I do for myself and them, the more they're able to do the same thing for themselves and their sphere. And eventually, each of those little spheres grows just big enough, and that network covers the whole world. Maybe that's an incredibly positive and incredibly naive way to look at it. But that is what drives me. That is why every Saturday I get up and I do this show and we talk about stupid things like protecting your passwords and your haunted house and adopting a dog, and I believe really strongly in that. And I believe really strongly in you. So don't get too down on yourself. Don't get too down on the world. Think about the bad stuff. Drive towards the good stuff. Use the technology that makes you happy. Listen to fun music. Hang out with good people. So let's kind of take that as a platform and go upwards from there for the last, 10 minutes of the show, right? Oh, that looks awesome. Wherever that is, let's go there. God, look at that water. Although, it's great. Here's all the Taliban running around with rockets. Let's focus on the water, the blue water and the blue sky. Jesus Christ. Yeah. as you start exploring crypto, you may or may not discover steps towards financial freedom. And I hope you do. I truly hope you do. So with all that being said, let's get out of the cult aesthetic. Pretty much everybody in chat has gone dead silent, which is a great indicator that I've made everyone horrifically depressed. Not the idea. I'm gonna play another remix that's just been released, and it's by two bands or two groups, or a group and an individual that I play a lot on this show. Often, and Clay can attest to this, often we end the show with either Gunship or The Midnight. They are two of the biggest sort of names in synthwave. They're kind of the forefathers of synthwave, in some ways even a little bit cliche. But I'm going to play you a track by The Midnight, remixed by Droid Bishop. And I love Droid Bishop, and I play a lot of Droid Bishop on the show. So, let's do that. This is a brand new remix. Oh, look at this. These stupid thing. Look at this. It finally fired a brand new notification. Finally, and it's about Full Force Rocks. Yeah, I do another show called Full Force Radio on Thursday nights. It's all heavy metal. It's shit talking. We don't worry about this technology bullshit. We just play really loud heathen music, and it's a good time. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to fullforce.rocks. But let's do the synthwave thing. Let's cap off today on a positive note, because, sometimes when you talk about the philosophical aspects of technology in the future, there's pros and cons. So I'm going to play you a track called Deep Blue. It's a track by The Midnight. It's got some sexy, sexy saxophone in it, because retro music and 80s music must have some saxophone. And it's remixed by another artist that I'm a huge fan of. My name is Crimsonclad. Hang around. I will be back to say goodbye after this and recap the show. And if there's anything else you guys want to sneak in before then, now is the time.
I wasn't looking for action, just some distraction, just a little weeknight, booth in the back. I wasn't looking for romance, just a quick slow dance, on the off chance that an off night and a side glance might lead me to the wrong hands. I wasn't looking for you. After forever, just for whatever. I was one of the dark hearts who thought that they never truly be open. But this is an explosion of star-crossed and blood-rushed and head-tossed and cheeks blushed and weeks lost. I wasn't looking for you. Felt my heart like this. She said I never felt my body. I always thought the point of love was just to keep from falling to the deep blue, the deep blue. Falling to the deep blue, the deep blue. Looking for devotion, just cheap emotion, but I found love like an ocean. On my second whiskey, you asked, try to miss me, they lost control. I didn't know I had a soul until the moment you kissed me. I wasn't looking for you. Felt my heart like this. She said I've never felt my body. I always thought the point of love was just to keep from falling to the deep blue, the deep blue. Falling to the deep blue, the deep blue. Falling to the deep blue, the deep blue. Falling
How's that for some sexy saxophone? There you go. Guys, we have come to the end of CyberBuzz Radio. I'm so sorry to inform you that we have hit our time limit for the day. So, that was a hell of a show for an unplanned discussion. We touched on a lot of topics, and I'm hoping that you leave this show today. If you are listening, some of you are fake newsing, and I'm happy to have you. I hope you leave this show feeling good and moving out into the world in your lives with positivity going forward. You live in one of the most amazing times in our entire existence. And yeah, there's a lot of bad, and there's also a lot of good. And the reality is there's no harm in enjoying some of the retro aspects, looking a little bit backwards, looking a little bit forwards. And shout out, because I saw Yassine followed over on Theta. Hey, man. I'm trying to figure out how to get all these notifications and all of these chats connected, and I'm pretty good, but I still suck. So, let's do the last little bit of housekeeping stuff as we end the show. Hey, Lax! And bye, Lax! Please remember that social engineering is a real, and one of the biggest weak points that you currently have that you may not be thinking about is QR code access, whether that is to blockchain wallets or extensions or programs like Discord. Please keep in mind, if you take a screenshot, if you send an email, if you take a selfie and your computer screen's in the background or your laptop is visible and somebody's sitting at a table across from you in a co-working space and you have a big fucking QR code up on your screen, please remember that is instant access, and instant access to stuff you don't want people to have is something you need to protect. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about some of the challenges around Hive onboarding, and we actually just kind of went on a really slight detour off into node land to do with the Hive blockchain. So we may have to have another I'm a good DJ. Another discussion about Hive nodes. It's very esoteric, but it's interesting, and it can be applied to node running or server running or other blockchains if you're interested. So maybe that's a thing we'll do in the future. And then the second half of the show was just bullshitting. We were just bullshitting about big tech and the conglomerate companies that control our fates and our future, and some of the programs and technologies that we use to try to at least distance ourselves from this. And we talked a little bit about sort of the positive and freedom-centric aspects of cryptocurrency and blockchain. We talked a little bit about ghosts and my dog. It was a good day. I played a lot of great music for you. Gregorio Franco, Wave Shaper, The Midnight Droid Bishop, FM Attack, Betamax, and Turbo Slash. And of course, I will update the show notes. So if there's anything that you really enjoyed today or you want to delve deeper into, I will put that together so you could spend more time on it in the future. Alas, that is basically my time for today. So I do want to shout out to, of course, the station, mspwaves.com. You can go to mspwaves.com/schedule if you want to find out about all the other cool DJs who do stuff like me. Or if you want to find out when my next show is in your own time zone, you can go there and you can find out all about it. That is our blockchain social broadcasting network. It's live radio powered by these disruptive technologies. It's pretty cool. Otherwise, wherever you are watching, wherever you find this live stream, I go twice a week. I do CyberBuzz on Saturdays, and I do something called Full Force Radio on Thursdays, Fridays, whatever. And you can find out more about that at fullforce.rocks. It's heavy metal and sass. It's a good time. And that's when I'll be on live next. So hoping you can come hang out with me. I hope you had fun today. And I hope you have a fabulous day ahead of you. Sound good? Good. Don't spend your whole day thinking about the impending heat death of the universe, okay? It's really easy to get in that headspace. Think about all the cool shit that we're going to have soon. Maybe it'll be more like robots that won't kill us and that will successfully deliver pizza. There's positives, I swear. All right, guys, have an awesome day. I had so much fun. I hope to see you again soon. My name